So good day everyone. We will be continuing our discussion on the basic algebra. Last meeting we have discussed the introduction to a line. So we have tackled how to plot in our Cartesian plane. Okay, so with a formula equation ax plus by plus c is equals to 0, we were able to identify the coordinates for x and y, assuming that the other variable is, we have a value for that variable. For example, in this first, we have 2x plus y is equal to 5. If x is equal to 0, we will now substitute this 0 to the equation and we will be identifying the value for y. Okay? For today, we will be discussing the slope and the slope-intercept form. Okay, I'm sure you are still, or do you still remember these concepts from your senior high? The slope and the slope-intercept form. Okay, there is another way to write the equation of a line which allows more information about the graph line to be readily available. The original equation is ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. Then we will restructure this equation so we can find out this y equation. This y equation is now your slope equation or the slope-intercept form. Okay? The fractions in the last equation may be renamed in such a way that m, our slope, is equal to negative a divided by b, and b is equal to negative c divided by b. Okay, or the last equation, after reconstructing those equations, we now have y is equal to mx plus b. This is now the final equation for your slope-intercept form. Okay, remember that is y plus mx plus b. Okay? Alright, the slope is determined by the delta y divided by the delta x. And when we say delta, this is now the difference between the y2 and the y1, or the first variable, the second variable less the first variable for y and x. So the formula for the delta y divided by delta x is also known as y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay. All right, now we have the rule in the slope. Okay, when the line is upward from left to right, the slope is positive. Okay, if we try to see the Cartesian plane again, diba? If it will come from left to right, pataas, it is a upward positive slope. While if the negative naman ng slope, it will be downward from left to right, pababa siyang ganun. Okay? This may be interpreted as any positive change in x will result to a negative change in y, or negative change in x will result to a positive change in y. Okay? So again, we have examples here. And our goal is to identify the slope. All right, let me exit this. I will open my Microsoft Excel. So we will do this again. Okay, identify the slope. Okay, let us just remember our slope-intercept form. The formula is y is equal to mx plus b. We're going to use this formula so that we can identify the slope. Okay, let us just wait. Loading. Let's just review yung ating isosolve. We have three formulas here. First is y is equal to x minus 1. Second is x plus 5y is equal to 30. And the third one is y is equal to x plus 50. Let's identify the slope first. Okay, I will transfer these values here sa Excel. And so first, second, third formulas. And let's copy. That is y is equal to x minus 1. Second, we have x plus 5y. X plus 5y is equal to 30. And in the third one is we have y is equal to x plus 15. Y is equal to x plus 15. Okay, let me just check this one. Still recording. Okay. All right. And I will put the slope I will put the slope intercept form, and the formula is ito Saan yun? Okay, y is equal to mx plus b. Y is equal to mx plus b. Yan. Alright. So let's start with the first one. Okay. Y is equal to x minus 1. Okay. So let's go back to the problem. Here we have three problems, starting with the y is equal to x minus 1. And we have the values for x, which is 5, 4, 3, and 2. Okay. The first step we need to do is to find the slope. Again, this is the formula. Okay, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay, now let's write the steps. First step, identify the slope using the formula. What is our formula again? That is now the delta y over delta x. Okay, x. Ayan. When we say delta again, that is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So where are we going to get the values for y2, y1, and x2, x1? Using our discussion last meeting, let's identify the coordinates. Okay, let's concentrate with these two, as we only need to have two coordinates. So, ayan. If x is y, okay, I forgot to put. Ayan, lagyan natin dito. This is x, this is y, and if x is 5, y is, let's try to compute. Let's substitute x with 5 minus 1. Therefore, our y is equal to 4. Yeah, so let's put 4 here. Our first coordinate is 5, 4. Okay. And the second one, ayan, if x is 4, y is, let's compute. So we have 4 is equal to x minus 1. Okay, what is the next step? We transpose. So, 4 plus 1 is equal to x. Tama ba? Ayan, then x is equal to 5. Okay, so we put 5 here. So our second set of coordinates is 4 and 5. Okay, so we now have two coordinates. So we can now compute for the slope. I'm spelling yung aking slope. Ayan, delta y versus delta x. Here is our two coordinates. I'll copy paste here. Ayan. So we now assign. Let's say that this is x2 and y2, while this one naman is x1 and y1. Alright? Remember, ito yung ating assignment. We assign the x2 and x2, y2, and x1, y1 on the coordinates. First coordinate, set of coordinates, second coordinate. Okay, now let's compute the slope. Delta y, so that is now y2 minus y1 over, ayan, over x2 minus x1. So what is y2 again? That is 4 minus 5. 4 minus 5 divided by, tama ba? 4 minus 5 divided by 5 minus 4. Yeah, 5 minus 4. So we have 4 minus 5, ilan yun? That is negative 1 divided by 1. And our slope, lagyan natin we are computing for the slope. Therefore, our slope is negative 1 divided by what? Yeah, lagyan natin. 1 divided by 1. We have negative 1. Okay, this is now our slope. Okay. Now let's try to interpret. We now have the slope. So what does this mean? Okay, going back in our discussion earlier, sabi dito, if the slope is positive, therefore there's a positive change in x brings out the positive changes in y. So if we will try to identify the line, it is a sloping upward line from left to right. Okay, because it is, sorry, it's negative pala. Sorry, it's negative, therefore this is a downward slope from left to right. So ganito yung itsura niya. Okay. So assuming we have our dito, Cartesian plane. Let's say this is a simple Cartesian plane. And we now know by our solutions first, di ba, -1, okay, our slope is downward from left to right. So our line should look something like this. Let's insert line here. Yan. Parang ganyan yung itsura ng line niya once we graph. Okay? Yan. That's now the slope. Okay, we now have the value for m. We can now identify the slope-intercept form or y-intercept form. Okay, so we go to our second step. Okay, ayan. I will highlight para makita natin kung ano mga steps na tayo. For our second step, okay, we now substitute m to our slope-intercept form. Okay? Ayan. Let's highlight para makita natin. So, our m, again, is ito. Okay? Remember, m is -1. And our y-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus b. Okay? So, y is equal to mx plus b. Ayan. Let's substitute. That is now y is equal to -1 x plus b. Or, simply, y is equal to -x plus b. Okay? B, remember, this is our y-intercept. Okay? So, if you're going to go back to our graph, it is where the line will intercept to the y-axis. Okay? So, we have our coordinates here. Let's copy them again. Alright. And this is our coordinates earlier. We can now substitute using either this first set of coordinates or second set of coordinates. You can use 5, 4 or 4, 5. Let's use this first one. So, if you are going to use this, y is equal to 4 is equal to -5 kasi that is the x plus b. Okay? We transpose 5 to the other side. So, this is now 4 plus 5 is equal to b. Or b is equal to 9. Okay? This is now our intercept. Y-intercept. Okay? Ayan, 9. So in this lesson, we have identified the slope and the y-intercept. Okay? And the y-intercept. Make sure to remember these steps kasi this is something we are going to use. We're going to do in the examinations. And also, we are going to use these concepts once we go to our supply and demand analysis. Okay. For now, it might be still confusing, no? But then again, just like what I have said nung last meeting, algebra is something that we should practice for us to understand, not just by reading or watching theories. Okay? How about if we do the second one? Let's try the second one. Okay. Yeah. Let's copy this one. Okay, let's have another sheet para malinis. We will be following the 2 steps again that we have made earlier. Okay, let's just check the values for x and y because I think we have values here. And x and y. Oops. Yeah. Dito tayo. So for this example, we have the values for y. 0, 2, 4, and 6. So let's copy. 0, 2, 4, and 6. And let's put a table. Alright. We will do the two steps again. No? First is identify the slope. Then second is we identify the y-intercept. Okay? So let's start with the first step. Lagyan natin ulit the slope. Okay. Let's identify now the coordinates no, for the other variable. Yan. Since we have the values now for y, let's compute for the values for x. Okay, starting with this one. Remember, we only need 2. Pero it's good that we compute then the rest. So we have different options. But again, we only need 2. Let's say, let's use this 2. Ayan. Highlight natin. We will be using these 2 coordinates. If y is 2, what's now the value for x? Well, let's compute. X plus 5, substitute by 2, is equal to 30. Okay, tama ba? Let's double check. X plus 10 is equal to 30. Transpose to the other side. This is now x is equal to 30 minus 10. Then we have x is equal to 20. Okay, so we put 20 here. Now let's double check if my computations are correct. 30 minus 10, 20. Okay, first coordinate natin is 20 and 2. Alright, how about the second one? If y is 4, x is what? Okay, x plus 5, 4 is equal to 30. Okay, so we have x plus 5 times 4 is 20 is equal to 40. Again, we transpose x is equal to 40 minus 20. Therefore, we have x is equal to 20. Okay. Now, let's double check if the values are correct. 5 times 4. Okay. Oh, wait lang. Ayan. Speaking of which, this should be 30. Ayan. So, nanggaling yung 40. Okay. So, we change 30. Our x is supposedly 10. Ayan. Okay. 10. Alright. So, we now have the 2 coordinates. We can now compute for the slope. 10, 4. Okay. Again, now we have to assign. Let's say this is x2 and y2, while this one naman is x1, y1. Okay. So the slope, or the m, is the change, or the delta y, divided by your delta x. So y2 minus y1, minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Can we put underline here? Ayan. Alright. So our assigned values for y2 is 2 and 4. So we put 2 minus 4. Oops, 2 minus 4. Ayan. Divided by 20 minus 10. Ayan. 20 minus 10. So 2 divided by 4, 2 minus 4 is negative 2, while 20 minus 10 is, of course, 10. 2 divided by negative 2 divided by 10 is, so our slope here is, divided by 10 is negative 0.2. Alright? Or if you're going to use fraction, we can simply use negative 1/5. Okay? Ito yung isang ano niya. Pwede nating format. Ayan. We can either use whole numbers, numbers and fractions. Okay. Ayan. So, let's, balik natin. Okay. So, this is now our slope. Okay. Let's try to interpret again the slope. Again, we have negative slopes. What does this mean? What does this mean? Going back in our discussion earlier, okay, when the slope is negative, it is now a downward slope from left to right. Same kanina. Okay? It's a downward slope from left to right. Okay? Which means that any positive change in x will result to a negative change in y, or a negative change in x will result to a positive change in y. Okay? Going back here, we are now done with the first step. Ayan, ibabox ko siya. I-box natin. So let's go to the second step. Again, the second step is we identify the y-intercept. Kaya di ba we have the y-intercept form, or we are trying to identify the value for b. Again, the formula here is, go back to our discussion earlier. The formula for the y-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus b. b is the y-intercept. Okay? Lagyan natin dito. Y is equal to mx plus b. We now have the value for m, which is negative 0.2. Okay? So, y is equal to negative 0.2 x plus b. Okay. We have the coordinates earlier, 22 or 10, 4. We can either use, whichever we like. Okay, let's use this one. Oops. Ayan. All right. Let's identify the y-intercept or the b. So y is 4 is equal to negative 0.2 times 10 plus b. Okay, what is negative 0.2 times 10? Negative 0.2 times 10, that is negative 2. Okay, so we have 4 is equal to negative 2 plus b. We transpose. This is now 4 plus 6 is equal to b, or b is equal to, bakit 6? That is supposedly 2, and or b is equal to 6. This is now our b is equal to 6. This is now our y-intercept. Okay? Ayan. Alright. Recap lang po on how we did this. Okay? The goal again is to find the slope and the y-intercept. Yan. So we now have identified the slope. Again, the formula is the delta y divided by the delta x, or your change in y over your change in x, or your y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus y1. After identifying the slope, we now substitute this value to our y-intercept form. It's very important that you remember the y-intercept form. Y is equal to mx plus b. And what we are trying to identify is this one, okay, the y-intercept. Not the y variable, the y-intercept, which is the b. Okay? Ayan. And if we go back again to the Cartesian plane, once we plot, we know that the line is a downward kasi it is negative. And this is the y-axis. We know that it will intercept sa 6. Okay? Ito yung natin. Positive 6. Pupunta siya sa 6. So our line would probably look like something. It would look like something na parang ganito. Okay? Ayan. So that is now our slope and slope-intercept form. And this is our part 2 of our review of algebra. Okay, remember we still have one left. Okay? Ayan, tignan lang natin. Ito na, determining the equation of a line. Now, this is the final review on our basic algebra before we have our finals. Okay? That's it. So, I will see you on our next discussion.